One doctor even told my mom, "Do you have other kids?" And she said, "Yeah, two." And the doctor said, "All right, because we're losing this one." It was hard for a mom to hear, I could only imagine. I wouldn't wish this on the worst person alive. But music never stopped. Music was healing me throughout. But I needed to finish this project, so in my head, I'm getting out of surgery so I can go finish this project. My job here is to actually say my story and that's your purpose, and heal people through music. The amount of messages I get and say your music is really healing. Your music has depth. Your music has a message. It does, purposely.
Why does it hurt my soul every time I lose control? I need strength to carry on, but I'm blaming it on my...
You can't see anything in the darkness, but there is always a ray of light that comes from somewhere. You have to hold on to that.
Hi May, welcome to the show. It's a fangirl moment come true for me. It's a long time.
Thank you so much.
So, if your life had an intro track, what song would you want to play right now when you walk in?
It would probably be the intro track of my own album, my own EP album. I see it as the intro of that content of that space of my life. So just that introduction itself sort of speaks for the entirety of what I'm trying to explain in all of my music, thus my life and my story. It basically is talking about how this life is mine and I'm coming back to claim it. And it's a powerful track, actually, so I feel really connected to it. Basically introduces all the themes and elements that I wanted to reflect on when it comes to my music and my night coinciding. So yeah, that would be the one. The lyrics go like, "'Cause I take it and I make it and I break it 'cause I know it's mine." And I'm talking about my life when I say it's mine. This is my life and I need to grab it. I need to take control over it. We always sometimes lose control over things here and there. But this is just a reminder that you need to grab your life and make it yours.
You have been called as Bahrain's R&B queen. How do that crown feel, heavy or responsible?
Well, before becoming the queen of R&B, I was just discovering R&B. There were many times where it felt heavy, many times where it felt light, many times where I felt like I completely lost the crown. There is no crown.
But it empowered you, right?
Of course. The concept, the title was given to me when I was very young. It used to be Teen Queen of R&B. Okay. And like I said, might have started out heavier than it does now. Has it really changed in the music industry? Starting out, I could definitely say it was heavy. Misunderstood from a young age, doing something a little bit different that society hasn't necessarily seen. Those times it was pretty heavy. Once I grew up, things started opening up. I started becoming more true, more real to myself and others through my music, of course. Started just fitting right. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing anything per se. I don't like to see myself as a queen per se. I like to see us all the same. But that title just reminds me why I'm there, what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing. So the word queen doesn't necessarily mean that I am greater than thou, but it means that I take a lot of time and a lot of effort focusing on only this. So it is my forte. It is my thing.
When did you understand that it is my thing? Right now you are immersed in it.
Right.
So there may be a point in life where it is.
I always have a tough time answering this question because I don't remember a time where I didn't know. Some people are just born knowing, and I think that was what happened with me. I was singing before I could talk. There are videos of me as a toddler just singing off the top of my lungs. Sure, I made no sense at all, of course, with no baby language. But it was spotted from a young age, and I think I just never thought otherwise. Even in school, even at a young age, I don't remember a time where I didn't know. It was innate for me, I guess. There wasn't like a light switch moment. It was just there. Ever since I can remember, I just knew from day one, this is what I want to do.
Coming from an Bahraini culture, it may not be that easy to find a different path, right? To choose a different path.
Absolutely.
You told that from school itself, you identified that you want to become a singer.
Sure.
So how did it all help to become a person right now you are?
The support from the right people. And I think what I mean by that is my family, because it starts at home. society at the time when I first started, I was pretty young, like I mentioned previously. Getting up and doing something like this could have been seen as a taboo.
Of course.
Absolutely, being a Bahraini Muslim female, when there were no Bahraini Muslim females doing what I really wanted to do, which was bring the Western culture into the Eastern culture and try to fuse that and blend that, I must have seemed ridiculous, maybe disrespectful at times, 100% misunderstood. So it was the support at home that made me block out any negativity and continue. If my parents and my family didn't support it, I probably wouldn't have reached this far in what I wanted to achieve and accomplish. So I'm really thankful for that.
Maybe 10 years before, you are speaking about 20 years before, right? The 20 years before, that time have changed for the Bahraini youth now.
Absolutely.
Definitely through the One Love Foundation, you are training them. So how do you see that difference of 20 years in the perception of the society?
Right. The perception of the society have become more open now, of course, with the movement, with the youth driving things forward, with social media, with the ever-changing education and the ever-evolving education that is now at hand, whether it be it on the internet or what they're teaching in schools. Now there are musical classes that are widely available, institutions that are widely available, online or offline, it doesn't matter. There is interest and there is, although controversial, but there is input and there is knowledge now that wasn't there before necessarily. They are very lucky, mostly because the new generation have come in with things that weren't available to us, resources, for example.
True.
We did not have those distribution platforms when I started, at least. We were relying on things like
Maybe cassette?
cassettes, CDs, USBs. When they first came out, were like the most
Yeah.
insane thing that ever happened. And then talking about the programs that we have to help us with the music, there's now artificial intelligence. I can't even grasp how fast this is happening, but the newer generation are grasping it very quickly because it's available for them.
Yeah.
So what I can see is that hunger, they're born with it already because the resources are available. To now what to do with the resources.
They don't have to wait.
No, they never.
Like we used to wait to get a song, to hear it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a whole other culture when it came to spreading music. It was a whole other strategy. It was a whole other movement. And now things are developing. And what I'm seeing that's really fascinating is all the generations are sort of now becoming one when it comes to music and sound. You see younger people collaborating with much, much older people. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to educate and learn as well. I'm learning so much from the new generation. They know things that I never even thought about. I had no idea how algorithms worked, for example. You know, this huge word we hear now, algorithms. They know everything. They know everything about it. If I need help, I ask them. With anything technical, anything to do with this stuff. So One Love Productions and these entities and these sort of foundations, it's not run so that we tell you what to do. It's we learn from each other. We learn what's happening that's new, and you learn how we used to do it and how we still do it. Because nobody can argue with experience, right? Even if we are a bit of an older generation to them, you still can't argue with experience. So if we also, as the older generation, are open to learning, and so are they, this is how the ecosystem can continue to thrive, in my opinion.
Got it. So now coming back to your childhood days.
Yeah.
So this question is specifically for the parents. Any kid show a hobby, right? At the age of 5, their interest is different. At 10, it's different. But there will be a time when your parents might have understood or realized that this girl is born to sing, right? When was that?
A very specific memory I have is when I was 8 years old. I had a weird habit growing up, and that was, again, singing off of the top of my lungs gibberish that made no sense, but I was airplaying keys.
Okay.
And I guess my parents spotted that I was just always, and on any surface at the dinner table, at the lunch table, of course they would, but, my hands would be going, and they spotted that. And I believe it was my mom. It was mostly my mom that really like took that artistic culture and let us run with it. Even my siblings are both very, very artistic. So they got me a keyboard when I was 8. And before this, I was starting to write poetry. I was very good at poetry at a very young age. I remember once they called my mom in and she thought I was in trouble. I got in so much trouble before even knowing what the teacher wanted. And she actually called her in to say your daughter can write really good poetry.
Okay.
So with that combined with the keys, the song started. So it started when I can remember putting my hands down and writing a song for the first time, I was 8. And I remember the keyboard. I still have the keyboard. It doesn't even work anymore, but I refuse to let go of it because that's how it all began. That's when it actually really took off for me. That was the moment.
Lovely.
Yeah. The moment I put it to practice, but the moment I knew was way before this.
You started composing at the age of 13.
Yeah.
So, do you remember what, right, like now you told about the poem. Do you remember that? Would you love to sing that uh, line?
Oh, yeah. My first song that I composed using one of the poems that I wrote was called In My Dreams. My first ever song. I was actually younger than 13. It's around. So I got the keyboard at 8, was dabbling around, but the first time I put pen to paper and wrote a song, oh yeah, I was around 13 and the song was called In My Dreams. And I remember the chorus was just being, you know, I see it in my dream. You know, I see it in my dream. And that's when I realized that I could do those runs, you know, the whoa, those things. That when I first realized and discovered that I could do those things, I went nuts. I was writing songs every single day, like fascinated that I had that one technique that made it R&B,
Okay.
you know? So it was a whole experience. Just that one song opened my eyes to a lot of skills I didn't even know I had. So that was a really important moment. That's why I can't forget the songs.
So, how does now, as a singer, May, where do you start it? All the songs from your head, on your papers, or on the keys?
It starts with an intuition sort type feeling that tells me something needs to come out. Something, I feel something. And now I recognize what that feeling is. I used to get bothered and agitated and moody and weird when there was a song in the making every time. But now I recognize it. Now I get up and I go, there's something. So the way I would do it now as opposed to before, still the same thing. I need to hear a melody or a beat. Either I create it or it exists. A different producer did it. But how I first started was me on the keys, coming up with a melody, and then lyrics just flow. But it has to be pen and paper.
With pen and paper.
Even right now, even with all the technology, people are writing on their iPads and their phones. I cannot write lyrics that way. I need that raw sensation of old school pen and paper for me. I got to listen to something that inspires me and then it will just pull whatever out of me.
And not in silence.
Never in silence, no. It doesn't go in my head. I feel that feeling silent me, but it doesn't matter where I am. I will listen to it. I will start writing. I've written songs on the plane. I've written songs in the car while in traffic. Probably shouldn't have said that, but I've written songs on the beach. In the most random places. I always have my notebook with me because you never know when a song is coming up.
Okay.
You know, so it's kind of like a sneeze. Like,
Oh my God.
when the time comes, it's coming. No, like you got the paper, you got the brand.
And you're ready for it.
Yeah,
That really
it's
constant.
a melodic line or a sound I hear somewhere or a sentence somebody said that just triggers a song. And then yeah, that's how it works for me.
Singing, entertaining, R&B, everything is okay. That is done. But what about the One Love production?
Right. One Love Productions is my foundation that I just recently started, by the way. This is a very new thing.
What was the inspiration for that?
Having a platform, a place to go, because a lot of artists just don't know where to start, don't know who they could talk to for advice, how to perform, how to record, who you need to know. All of these things can be accessed through a platform where it's a very humble platform right now. We're very small. But what One Love Production does is it recognizes talents.
Okay.
Either you come to me and you say, I want to do an event. I need help with this. Any tips, any tricks. And I have a team of people around me, whoever you might need, whether it be videography, art, as in painting, which I can't even draw a stick man. But we have people that we can connect.
So do you train them like as in like a module you have to be with them, or it is a casual interaction where they can also show their talent? How is it?
Well, it's a very big mix and match. It's a very casual situation. So it depends on your needs. If you come to me and you say, I need someone to come with me to the studio or tell me where to go so I can record, I'll suggest if you need me to train you, that's a service. I'll come and I'll help, especially the younger generation.
But I think you didn't had somebody like
That's why.
you at that time, right?
Well, I did have a lot of mentors that were male that had no idea what it was for a female to be a female. So in particular, and I'm not segregating because I'm working with both genders, but I have a soft spot for the females, obviously, the young ones, because I didn't have anyone. And I would like to think that, with me around, a lot of the young ones have actually taken that step, and it makes me really proud.
Especially from the GCC area.
Especially,
Yeah, a female coming forward in R&B.
yeah,
That is different, right?
absolutely. Just the whole thing, it doesn't matter in what field, it's quite intimidating and it can be quite scary if you're young. Especially because it is a very male-dominant atmosphere. As you can imagine, there's a lot of things you need to take into consideration. Safety, rumors, things like that can really dishearten you. The one thing I do tell the younger generation, and especially the females, is to watch out for these things.
Yeah.
It has happened to me. There has been really ugly sides of the music industry, and the music business can be very cunning if you're not in the right hands. And it has happened to me, unfortunately. But again, with the right support in my family, I managed to get it back out, do it by myself.
Yeah, it's about our emotional comeback also, right? But you always had a opportunity to collaborate with the big names. So tell me some of the crazy things. How did it all happen? Any incident?
Gosh, there was one event that happened in Bahrain. It doesn't exist anymore now, but it was supposed to be a new e-music distribution company at the time. Probably can't say names right now.
When was it?
It was like about, I want to say 10 years ago.
Okay.
Something like this.
Yeah.
There was a huge launch that happened here in Bahrain at the Ritz-Carlton. We had Jennifer Hudson there. We had Rashid Al-Majid. We had a bunch of international artists from Jay-Z's record company. All of them were here. This is really happened here. I was supposed to be an opening act. While I was doing my sound check, I had the organizers and Rock Nation approach me. And now, suddenly, out of nowhere, I'm on the main stage. I'm one of the main performers tonight.
My God.
Tonight. So, fine. Okay, we have some time to organize our brain. But this is the crazier part. In 2 hours, there's a press conference. You have to stand up and talk in front of everyone. And I had nothing planned. Everybody else obviously had their speeches done. They know what they're saying. And here I am at 19. I think I was 19 years old. Yeah, I was 19 actually.
I can visualize May taking a deep breath, more like, come on, May.
Get it together. And I sat in the press conference, and right next to me was L.A. Reid.
Oh, man.
The biggest talent agent of all time, sitting right next to me. And I'm about to go up and I blank. I completely blank. However, whatever came out of my mouth, it just worked. I was on autopilot and I said a few relevant things, and I remember blanking, but watching it back and thinking that wasn't as bad as I thought, actually. Petrifying at the time, though, mind you. It was quite intimidating, but I won't forget that this was crazy. I didn't expect any of it.
But that was written on your fate.
I guess.
Destiny is there, right?
To God. Leave it to God. These things will happen, yeah.
Grasp that opportunity.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing, but it was really fun.
But I think, do you really think the youngsters nowadays, do they have that vibe or that audacity to grab that moment and take it forward?
I've met a lot of younger artists or aspiring artists that are a very big combination. There are some that are quite reserved and shy. And I think I blame COVID a little bit for this social distancing. Yeah, because now getting back into the environment might seem extra intimidating for them. So there are the shyer ones that need a bigger push. And then there are the ones that it's two extremes. And then there are the ones that are so hungry that I need to tell them, slow down. We need to go back to basics. You need to, first of all, learn the rules before you break them.
Yeah.
Because everyone has this idea that Music doesn't have to have any structure anymore. It can be atonal and experimental. While that's true, I would really appreciate an artist more if they understood why they're doing this, not just doing it for the sake of doing music.
Okay.
But first of all, having the proper passion. You meet a lot of artists that not differentiate between the fame and the work it takes to get to that.
That's crucial.
Yes.
Right?
And they want to go straight to the fame without having the knowledge or the necessary, not even skill, the discipline that's needed.
That's why we see some of the beautiful, aspiring, nice artists perishing at a very short span of time, right? That discipline is lacking.
Absolutely. They hit the ground running. You see a lot of artists come in with one great song and then completely disappear.
Yeah.
My theory, and from observation, I see that that's because they started out running.
Yeah.
When for me, it's like you need to take it back to basics. Learn at least the foundation of things. Understand why you want to do this. Have a purpose. That's what I look for the most. It could be a very silly purpose, but have purpose. Believe the purpose. Aside from the glorified fame and money, I really wish people didn't look at that first, because that's not how it works. The foundation is in the passion.
Yeah.
It's in the discipline. It's in the things that you don't want to do. It's there. And once you get that out of the way, you can cruise. You can be sitting here having more interviews and doing other things that add value to you, add a more prestigious sort of image of
True.
you. You'll be taken seriously, and therefore your lifeline as an artist can continue for longer. Don't rush. This is what I always say to them. We're at a very fast era of our life right now, but music and art is something that has to be an exception to this.
True.
Absolutely.
So you're being battling with a very misfortune health conditions, right? So that has been a turning point in your life, definitely emotional trauma, everything. So music might have helped you to heal it, right? What happened with your health?
So ironic that you use the word heal, actually. While my health was completely deteriorating, just to give you a general idea of what happened, growing up, I was always sick. I always had health conditions, genetically, obviously, and with time, there was a lot of issues that I faced when it came to the music industry, and eating disorders were involved. I got too skinny at some point because some people were telling me, you need to be part of the package. You cannot be, and I was overweight when I was younger. So I had to cane myself to be near a, and I fell through that very, very common body dysmorphia, which added more health issues, more trauma, more health scares. Fast forward 29 years old, I had to undergo a full liver transplant. It was hitting my liver verbatim. Everything aside from the genetic.
And that's too in the period of COVID.
Was during the period of COVID when things got really serious. At some point, September 2020, I was internally bleeding from my intestine. All of Bahrain knew about this because I needed blood immediately. I emptied out all the blood banks. They couldn't figure out what was going on until, subhanAllah, I don't know how this happened, but miracle after miracle, alhamdulillah, saved my life. It was my mom who orchestrated the entire saving of my life. It was my mom. It was just my mom, my family, but mainly my mom, who put me in the right place for me to get out of this, basically. So after the blood thing happened, there were no flights. The person who was supposed to donate the liver was also unfit for some time. He got a little bit sick, so there was no hope for a second there. But once I pushed through in the hospital and I woke up, suddenly the flights opened up. Suddenly he was fine. Suddenly I have a flight, I have a ticket, and I have this all this liver transplant now is going to happen. So that was the end of it, the liver transplant. But leading up to that, obviously there was a very dark cloud over my head. But music never stopped. Music was healing me throughout. Right before even leaving for the surgery, I started a project with a lot of the local artists in Bahrain. And it was actually a rendition of Heal the World by Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that time. Yeah.
Ironically. So I didn't finish the project. And I had to go and do the surgery now, and that things are really, really bad. And doctors are giving my mom and I time limits. You have 1 year or so to live. You need to get the transplant. Oh my God. Yeah, we were hearing things like that. One doctor even told my mom, "Do you have other kids?" And she said, "Yeah, two." And the doctor said, "All right, because we're losing this one."
Oh my God.
It was hard for a mom to hear. I could only imagine. So hearing these things were giving me more of a determination to stand up. Going back to Heal the World, I remember because I didn't finish it, I had to come back and finish it. It was the only thing I could. It just seems so silly now, but I needed to finish this project. So in my head, I'm getting out of surgery so I can go finish this project. So even from the hospital bed, pre-surgery and post-surgery, I was still contacting the artist. "Hey, are you still up for doing that? I'll be back in a month or so." That, putting that in front of me, made me look at nothing else.
That may be the words you may be saying to yourself.
Heal the world, heal. The word heal was just going on. And now I'm in this position, so this became more of a passion to get this out. It was something to hold on to think about, to be excited about, even through how much it was very painful. Not just painful physically, but mentally and emotionally very painful. And I was at the most vulnerable place of my life. Coming back from a world that almost didn't exist to a complete different world is, I even put it in words, it's like trying to describe a color that doesn't exist. I can't tell you how it felt. I can only remember how it felt. Horrible. I wouldn't wish this on the worst person alive. I really wouldn't. However, determination, music, determination within music, and that one project had a big hand in what kept me alive. Because you do see a lot of people who do full transplants, and I get a lot of messages, unfortunately, which brings me some survival guilt. But a lot of people say, really happy for you that you made it. My uncle or my father or whatever did the transplant, that the body rejected it.
Okay.
It was not enough to just do the transplants. You had to then stay really strong.
Yeah.
To be able to keep that organ and make yourself believe that this organ is mine. True. That takes that much mental strain.
May I'm really sorry to make you go to that past, to make you emotional. But we am sure somebody who's watching, this can help, because this strength, this is the hope, right?
Yes.
Somebody has come out of a struggling period.
Of course.
You are a survivor. I would like to say you are a God's special child, right? That may be the reason this much pain, endurance you have gone.
Absolutely. What I've learned from this is that if you think about the fact that I never not knew when I could sing, if I always knew it, and this happened and I was still given a second chance, and my music is now used with messages and stories,
Yeah.
then I feel like my job here is to actually say my story and
That's your purpose.
and heal people through music. The amount of messages I get and say your music is really healing. Your music has depth. Your music has a message. It does, purposely.
Because you have gone through it.
Because I've gone through it. And it's here to tell everybody that you can turn pain into power.
True.
It's the art of turning pain into power. Pain is not necessarily a bad thing. We've adapted to pain being a negative thing, but it is just another emotion. It's just another sense that we have that needs to be used, needs to be honored. Even if it's really bad at that time, there's always a reason for it. You have to look past it. That's behind the darkness. You can't see anything in the darkness, but there is always a ray of light that comes from somewhere. You have to hold on to that. Not the darkness.
I think this may be the message you would like to talk to that inner self at that period, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of talking to myself.
Okay. I really didn't want, I have no intention to make you emotional. I really wanted to have a good chat with you on the music.
On the contrary, it doesn't make me emotional at all. This is here to help empower other people.
Yeah, too.
No, I'm not here to make anyone feel sorry for me or feel sorry for themselves. That's the worst thing you could do. be proud of it.
Yeah, especially when you are an entertainer and on the stage, when people are being entertained, seeing your performance, they don't know what was the pain or what was the emotional trauma you have gone through, right?
True. No, I have an alter ego that deals with, the public eye, and then I have my introvert self that I keep very separate.
Okay.
To be able to cope with, the amount of energies I have to encounter, the amount of names I have to remember, the amount of energy I need. That is completely a character. That is May Al Qassim. She is different than May. Totally different. And so she puts the smile on, she puts the shield on, and she goes to war. So the emotions stay with the house version of me. But once I go to work, I turn that into, like I said, I turn that pain or that bad day into fuel.
Yeah.
It's a resource. If you don't get too attached to it, you can actually use it to your advantage.
So on the stage, what do you feel? A battle, a bliss, or both?
Oh, it's a roller coaster on stage. It's an absolute roller coaster. Sometimes it's even funny. I make mistakes like everybody else does. It's a battle sometimes when, for example, silliest thing, when I ask them for no strobe lights and they switch on the strobe light and I get really aggravated because that can make me actually genuinely faint. So sometimes we have like those literal battles. Sometimes we have those emotional battles where we're not in the mood. And this is where the alter ego is very important because May, you might not be in the mood, but May Al Qassim is never not in the mood. To switch her on, leave your sad face at home. Do register your emotions, obviously. Don't ignore your emotions, but create a character that can withstand it all. This is how it works for me. This is a really big tip for the younger audience. I say create an alter ego. Don't bring that person home, but don't bring your home person to your job either. That person has to be completely ruthless. So there are times where really you're not in the mood. Or for example, really recently, I broke my foot. And I had a very important performance I needed to do. But I cannot get up on stage with a cast. Or maybe I can, or maybe I can't. Who cares? We're going backstage and the show must go on.
And you don't tell me you went with the
With high heels, I didn't care. I asked my doctor. He told me it was a bad idea. I still did it.
Seriously, your doctor might have gone crazy.
He did. He said, why? And I said, because I'm stubborn. But I was careful. I didn't want to injure myself more. Don't get me wrong. I was very careful. I spoke to management. I told them it's broken. I might not be moving around a lot. But I still had to continue.
This may be the advice you may be giving to all the young kids who was being trained under you, right?
Maybe not when they're that young. When they're young, I'd say ignore the performance, stay home, take a sick leave or whatnot. The older ones, I'm like, can you walk? Yeah, you can walk? Okay, we can cry about this later. As long as your doctor approves, let's go. So yeah, absolutely. Determination is the one thing that I like to spread.
So every musician have a core wound in them. Is this the one or
is this the one? Well, I mean, I have multiple wounds, right? There was the whole societal wound.
Exactly. Yeah.
Of bullying when you're young and you're a girl and you're vulnerable.
How did you respond to them?
Shalny way. You can't make them stop. They're never going to stop. They're going to multiply. If you give them the attention and you feed them with the attention, they're only going to get worse. It's only going to add fuel to the fire. You just keep doing what you're doing. Because for every one hater, let's say, there was 5 at the time that were supporters. And now, funny enough, some of those people that were stopping me and calling me those names are now big fans, a big fan. I always knew you were going to make.
So you may be having a big smile to them, right?
Yeah, but people change. And I also understand that I'm not even mad. It's just the education wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
And it's not really their fault. If society was backwards and they were taught a certain way, that's called generational trauma. Or just their own culture, which I respect as well. I don't respect the name calling and I don't respect the way that they communicate, but I understand the devastation of not agreeing with what I do. And I respect people that don't agree with what I do, but to each their own. As long as we keep the respect, you don't have to agree with what I do.
Or rather being judgmental, right? That's what happened usually.
Look, at the end of the day, it's all our first time living, right?
True.
It's my first time. It's your first time. It's your first time living. I'm not going to sit here and start dwelling over what people say about me. Because someone's also saying something about them. And so on and so forth. So I don't want to contribute to the game, that sort of game, because I'm busy making music.
You know, yes.
I'm busy.
And so what is success to you?
Success is being able to sleep at night in peace. It's not all the money. It's not all the fame. It's just that peace knowing that you helped somebody or your music touched somebody, even one. I don't look at the numbers so much as I look at the quality. I look at the quality of the people listening to my music. And if it's really touching them, my music won't be for everybody. It's not for everybody. We don't all like the same things. It's personal preference. So success is very relative. You can't put a determination over, yeah, success means 1, 2, 3. But for me, sleeping at night, knowing I have a roof over my head, water to drink, food to eat, a loving and supportive family, and enough to get by.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. But it's peace. It's peace. In a world that's so full of chaos, peace is so rare that whenever I have a time when I can sleep without the anxiety or without not bracing myself for terror the next day or not knowing what could happen the next day. True. That is success to me. That is the biggest part of success for me.
So now tell me about your future plans, especially on the next upcoming album and also about the foundation.
I'm super excited for what's happening next, actually, because my new material has now really changed. My sound has changed because I have changed.
Yeah.
My frequency has changed. I'm working a lot with other artists now and developing a certain sound that still has my signature sound, but is now more of an interactive experience. In the sense that I'm messing with frequencies and emotions at the same time, without saying too much, without getting too, fussy about it. More raw stuff is coming up. Less about me, more about situations that I see around me. This is what's different. This is what's coming next.
Okay.
Yeah. So more music videos, more collaborations, way more performances. That's what's coming next. I'm so excited though.
So definitely all those poems might have got an influence on these Arabic culture and verses, right?
Yeah.
How do you see it? But you have blended it with the Western.
Well, yeah, I've used subtle sounds from our culture. For example, in my song Let It Go, I start with a full-on Arabic scale and Arabic melodic lines coming through. It's not always obvious because my point wasn't to do the music that the culture expected me to do. I'm doing the opposite. I'm trying to break that barrier into bringing the Eastern world towards the West. But it's always there. My voice, my actual singing technique, when you hear me do these runs, if you listen to an actual R&B artist, you'll notice something a little bit different.
That's your signature. That's the
signature. And it's actually, and a lot of people spotted this, if I was to sing Arabic, it's the techniques, those little I call them bouncy balls. When you bounce a little note that goes up and down from one note, those little trills, that comes from our culture, from our Arabian culture.
Okay.
But I mixed it in with the wavy notes. This is how I could explain, with the wavy R&B notes, and together that became the May sound. It's unmistakable. You could literally listen to it and go, "Oh, that's May," and "Oh, that's a May move." So
that's the success. No, that's a success.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it happened by mistake, I guess. I wasn't conscious of it until I studied myself. Studied my own music, studied what I'm doing here and what I'm doing there, till I realized what it was. So a very different way of blending the two worlds, I guess.